And that was very anticlimactic, and we're live, brother.
Hey,
Let's
fantastic,
talk
man.
2021. Let's talk opt-outs. Let's talk QB controversy. How you doing, brother?
Hey, pretty good, man. I know we've been asked to do a show over the last couple of days. It's just we wanted to make sure that we got quite a bit of news in, man. Finally finished this National Signing Day. How we want to kind of attack that. Listen to Tom Herman's press conference yesterday from the National Signing Day. Look at currently where our opt-outs are and how that's going to affect the depth chart, not just going probably into the bowl game, but how it may affect next year's depth chart as well. And then obviously talking quarterback competition. I'm not going to call it quarterback controversy at this particular point. I'm going to call it quarterback competition because we haven't had one since really Sam's freshman year. Against
Him versus Shane.
Shane Buechele. And I think that is one of the pieces we've been missing as far as the program is really that competitive edge and that competition that I definitely need, that we need. So kind of starting with this National Signing Day, just want to kind of go down the list of names here. Do you want to attack it by offense, defense, or you just want to kind of attack it just one by one?
Well, since we started the show in June, we kind of talked about a lot of these dudes in our commitment corners. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at those, please go back and look at those. Basically, it's us talking film analysis of what we think these guys are going to be and what they bring to 40 acres with kind of comps to current college football players and professional football players. So it doesn't matter to me, man. We can go.
So hey, let's obviously start. Let's talk Tavian Sanders, man. There's been a lot of questions around we play, obviously defensive end, probably jack, linebacker, or is it going to be tight end? And it's just kind of a back and forth. But I think one person said it best the other day. They were like, well, offense makes plays. But on the offensive side of the ball, you only have a consistent probably 15 times to make a play versus being on the defense. You probably have somewhere between 60 to 70 plays to make a play. And I know you've been all about that defense, and that's where he projects at. I absolutely agree. He's a mauler. Obviously, the head coach right now, of Texas programs talking about he given an opportunity to play both ways, and he can do it. We've seen what he could do, with his hands, man. Your take on Tavian Sanders?
Yeah, we talked about him and his teammate up at Den Ryan, who we won't mention on this podcast. At the time we did our commitment corners, being able to play both sides of the ball. Where I see him making the most impact, especially with 46 going to pros this year, is at that jack linebacker. Again, you got guys like Prince Dorba who can play that jack position. But I think you if he's not the number one, you allow him to make plays on offense, similar to Deshaun Jameson in his freshman year. But at this point, I'm going defense.
Defense. Go ahead, Joey.
Do you want to give, if they haven't watched the commitment corner, just a quick analysis. This kid's the best athlete on the field, regardless of position. He doesn't have to work hard at Den Ryan, which is a high classification in the Texas, high school football, which we all understand. So the kids he's going against every practice, every game are tough. And guess what? He shines. He's a star amongst stars. That's why he's the 5-star. So wherever you put him, he's gonna excel. I just think you got to look at your roster and figure out in his freshman year, because he needs to play. I think he needs to play where he serves the team at best. And he has an outside, swim move that'll get him to the outside. He has power that'll allow him to get past offensive tackles inside. You saw the one-handed catch you got Moss segment on ESPN, so you know what kind of receiver he is with a big frame, huge kid. So we're not telling you anything that you don't understand about Tavian Sanders, but a gifted athlete who's going to come to the 40 acres, needs to play right away in whatever position best serves the team, in my mind.
Yeah, big pickup, man, especially with Osai deciding he wanted to opt out, not of just the bowl game, but obviously looking at going to the NFL. So that would be a big pickup on the defensive side of the ball, because right now, which we'll talk about a little bit when we get into the opt-outs and depth charts, there may be a little bit of concern there, man, moving forward at that position. JD Coffee, man, 6 foot, about 180 pounds, and you would think that he is bringing about 215, 220 pounds every time that he comes downhill and lays the wood, man. He is he's a decleater. He's a decleater, man, but he is very, very good at tracking the ball and playing the ball. I think what I've seen for majority of these defensive backs that we brought into the class is really they have an opportunity to play. They have an opportunity to play anywhere on that defense, man. Anywhere from really safety to cornerback to that spur position, and they're all, like you said, they're all track the ball guys, man. Athletes that can go up and make a play just like a wide receiver would. That's what I kind of seen from really JD Coffee, man, coming out of Kendall, Texas. Your thoughts on
so
JD
Coffee, the size comp is a guy who's leaving the program this year. The kid out of Cibolo, Caden Stearns, 6'1", 207 pounds. You got a 6'1" guy at 185. By the time he gets to the program, it's probably going to be about 205, 210. Middle of the field safety, center fielder with a lot of bang, dude. Like a lot of bang. Like you said, he's 185 pounds, but he's like a dude who kind of mauled somebody in a earlier classification state championship game in number one of the Brooks kids today. He packs a lot of punch. Appreciate his center field skills. And again, we're talking about ball skills, ability to play the ball, read the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and get to where he needs to be.
I think I don't think he's so much a sleeper in this class, but he's going to be my sleeper in this class, man. JD Coffee really is. Moving on, Jameer Johnson, man, got a kid out of California from Pasadena, California, 6'7", 170 pounds, long arm, lanky guy. But I think physical cornerback, man, that again makes plays on the ball. And I think right now you're looking at, I think Chris Ash is going to look for these cornerbacks with length. Currently, you have cornerbacks from 5'10" to really 6'1". If you're looking at from Deshaun Jameson to Jalen Green, what we currently have on the 40 acres, I think somewhere between really that 5'11", probably 6'1", 6'2" is currently what we're looking for as far as cornerbacks that are physical, because he wants to be able to reroute these wide receivers on the line. So I think that is what he's looking for when he's looking for defensive backs, man. Coming this
right, like you said, this kid puts his hands on everybody. The only thing about this kid is he doesn't have senior film because he didn't get an opportunity to play because California they didn't play prep football this year, high school football this year. So this is another physical corner, 6 foot, 170, out of Pasadena, California. Like we talked about, we did his commitment corner the day he committed. We'll put his hands on you. And again, I'm pretty sure he spent his off time not playing ball, bulking up in the weight room and working on things that would make him a better college athlete. So I'm excited about having Jameer Johnson in the program. Definitely.
Yeah, talking about a couple of new guys, defensive line guys, maybe outside linebacker, depending on what they do with Derek Harris Jr., Jordan Thomas. I'm just going to go through a couple of them here in a row. Same. Back to back. Here we go. Derek Harris, Jordan Thomas, Terrence Cook, Maurice Blackwell. This might be one of the best linebacker classes that I've seen in a long, long time, because usually when you get one linebacker, usually you got a high-ranking linebacker, that comes in like GGB, man, that came in, and you're looking at a high-ranking guy, and then you get some guys that are in here. I think these guys are consistently almost the same dudes, man. They're all the same build. You're looking at like 6'1", 200, 6'1", 6'2", 210, outside of really Jordan Thomas, who's probably going to play that weak side defensive end position. Your thoughts on these guys, man?
No, so Jordan, like you said, they can play back. So Derek Harris, 6'2", 215. Terrence Cook, 6'2", 210. Maurice Blackwell, 6'2", 196. They can play any position on the football field. They've shown they can cover. Again, Derek Harris put his hand on the ground and played rush end for New Cain, but also could find himself in an outside linebacker position. Terrence Cooks, same thing. Coverage all over the field. So if you want zeros across the field, being DeMarvin Overshown type guys who can play safety, who can play down in the box, who can play at linebacker, who can play all three levels of defensive play, these are the kind of guys you're talking about. Derek Harris, Terrence Cooks, and Maurice Blackwell. Now, Jordan Thomas, he's a weak side defensive end. He's your guy that's going to be Joe Osai, Prince Dorba, Tavian Sanders. If you I think he can put weight on, though. He has the frame to put weight on and move inside if he has to, or move to the other side, the strong side position, if necessary. But I think those three linebackers, you have potential at every level of the field between Harris, Cooks, and Blackwell. All athletes, all can cover the field.
Yeah, hey, y'all keep asking the questions. I keep over here glancing at them. I see there's some questions out there talking about obviously Dunn, who we picked up from McNeese State. Flip from North Carolina State. We'll get to him. And we'll also get to your questions, man, about your recruiting questions or any other questions you got on here. We just want to kind of get through this recruiting class, give our take on who these players are, and then maybe take a break from that, answer some recruiting questions, and get into our next topic and so on and so forth for this live, man. Jaden Alexis, man, reminds me of a burner that you would see probably at the University of Oklahoma, man. Fast guy. Dad was the NFL football player. 3.8 GPA. Class president. Is enrolling early to the 40 acres, man. I think if we're missing something currently right now, this guy is looking at, I don't have his height and weight. You have it there. I think he's like 5'11" or so, 190.
6 foot. I want to say 6 foot 190.
With 6 foot 190. So to me, he's almost a bigger Joshua Moore.
Yeah,
he's almost a bigger Joshua Moore.
That's who the LHN comped him to yesterday.
Yeah.
You talked about the OU receivers, like I kind of feel like you're feeling the Hollywood Brown,
the
Marquise Brown, like getting the ball, which we've been begging this coaching staff to do since the onset of the season. Get the ball to Jake Smith, get the ball to Jordan Whittington, get the ball to guys like this in space, get the ball to Sam's hands, and let them do work. Yeah, definitely agree. Take the top off the defense if you want. You know, like when Brennan Eagles runs a 9 route, it's different. Then I feel like this kid would run a 9 route. Like he would run a 9 route and all the flow of the coverage would be sunk to his side once they saw it on film or in the press box that he got it on somebody. You know, it's going to roll coverage and cause you to get help. So yeah, excited to have him. I think he's very underranked as a 3-star. But again, you're talking about Florida kids or like Texas kids. There's so many to rank. And this wide receiver like offensive line is always difficult because like Rod B talked about earlier today, that's the hardest position to grade because there's so many of them, so many skilled positions. So yeah, let your weapons be weapons, man.
All right, man.
What they're good at.
Go ahead.
Figure out what they're good at and get them the ball, man.
Yeah. On to one of our favorite people, man. Jordan Thomas, we've done multiple interviews with him. One of my favorite interviews was with Hayden Connor. Smart guy, man. Loves space. Loves the University of Texas football and is a pancake block expert, man. He's going to maul you. I think so you're looking at probably 6'6", 317 pounds, almost 320 pounds. I know he currently plays tackle on his high school football team, but more likely he'd probably spin down and be a mauler guard at the next level is what I'm thinking, man. I really do. I think
he can do whatever he wants to do, man. Like he is so driven and so purposeful with everything that he does. Like you said, what was he when we met with him? It was aeronautical engineering or something.
Aeronautical engineering. Mm-hmm.
He's so smart. Like, so if you ask the kid to figure out a way to put on 20 pounds and move interior, if you need him to, he's going to do that. And he's so good in both phases, run blocking, pass blocking. He doesn't have a weakness at Katie Taylor. Now, as you move up to the next level, you may find weaknesses in this game. But as a leader, loyal to the soil, I project this kid will be a captain no later than his junior year because he's always going to do what he needs to do to lead football players, do what's right in the classroom, do what's right on the practice field, and produce, man. Like, I don't see how he can't become a captain by his junior year. I don't.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, man. And the thing about it, he started off a tight end a long time ago. He was actually a tight end, man. He's got a YouTube channel. So if you go look up Hayden Connor on YouTube, he's got a YouTube channel out there, man, from like the age of like probably 10, 11 years old. He's out there teaching technique, man, like football, like offensive line technique. It's pretty cool to watch, man. And then a guy from our alma mater in DeSoto, man, DeSoto, Texas, Byron Murphy II, DeSoto, Texas' own, man. We actually watched the last playoff game there in Killeen. Gets one of those clean schools, man, Shoemaker. And I tell you what, between him and Shamar Turner, they just make each other better. And I think they go out there and they try to outdo one each other. And one of the best hits I've seen this year in not just college or high school, both, man, was I think on the first play of that game last week, man, when he when he went back and sacked that quarterback, man, on the first play of the game. But
again, Shamar Turner's our guy. Again, Johnny Munoz just said it. You know, they got 6 sacks against last week against Clean Shoemaker. It's the first round of the playoffs, so they're going to have 4 or 5 more games, we feel like, to complete their season. Hopefully it ends up in what Dave Campbell's has projected as a Galena Park North Shore versus DeSoto final for Class 6A. But, yeah, 6 sacks total of the game, as Johnny Munoz chronicled. He had 4.5, and the rest of that defensive line that includes Shamar Turner had another 1.5. So this kid can move inside, outside, packs a punch in the phone booth. We didn't get a chance to do a commitment corner on him and watch his film, but we have watched his film, but didn't get a chance to put it on tape. Probably one of those guys who has the ability, again, position flexibility, can move inside, outside. He's only 6'1", so you probably think he's going to be interior this whole time, but we'll see. Depends on what kind of defense you're getting after, because we saw a guy like Moro Jomo move outside, who was 290 pounds. So for that strong side defensive end, so we'll see.
He reminds me of a Puna Ford. That's what he reminds me of.
Yes.
Stature-wise,
yes.
Look, it reminds me of a Puna Ford, man. It very, very, very bends really, really well for a big guy, man. And has got a lot of strength, man. A lot of strength behind him.
So fast off the quickness off the snap too.
Yeah.
And like I said, once he gets his hands on you, he's like I said, really strong in the phone booth. Doesn't need too much gap to get in there. Continue to watch this guy play. He's a riser, man. Like, there's no reason. I think there's rationale for him leaving Baylor once Texas offered him, and it took him a little bit of time to figure out how great he was. But he's one of those guys, similar to the guy we're probably going to talk about next, which is Jonathan Brooks, who's currently playing in a 3-8 state championship game.
I just wanted to cover what Johnny Munoz said. Guys, why don't you recruit Turner to Texas? We would have had a hands full, because I think that defensive end, who happened to be an NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP, that went to the University of they went to Texas A&M, happened to go to DeSoto and play defensive end there, was probably in Von Miller. Von Miller, has a lot more clout than myself and Jeremy do, and I'm pretty sure Von Miller is the one that got Shamar Turner to get to go to Texas A&M. Next time in, Jonathan Brooks. I'm currently watching him in front of me. Obviously playing in the state championship game. I think somebody said it best the other day. He took his team, I think it might have been Tom Herman's talking about, took this Hallettsville team from 3-7 to a state championship, and this being their only state championship. And everybody knows this guy's going to get the ball every time they snap it. I don't know how many times he's not got the ball during the game, but he is just he's so fluid, man. He's so fluid, and I was telling Jeremy, he's playing outside of really the level of competition he should be playing against. You see it, and it's easy to see. Somebody said it best, and maybe because he wears number 25, he looks like Jameer Charles, just not with that speed to me. He really does. It's just everything looks so fluid. His vision, his lateral movement is crazy. He just took a sweep and broke a tackle, and he's still he's about to take this for a touchdown. Now I got play-by-play going on. Yeah, unbelievable. They'll probably tell you the same thing just happened here.
And we've always asked this question, like talent evaluators, guys that look at these kids and understand they're playing, like you say, a couple of levels probably from what their talent should be. And we've asked ourselves that question. When we played at DeSoto, we were 5A, but we had friends and family who were playing 6A football, 2A football. And we said, hey, if we what we know we're doing at 5A, if we took ourselves to 2A or 6A level, what could we accomplish? We don't know. You know, there's still a dude who's across the line of scrimmage who may or may not be better than you. But that's what makes talent evaluation so hard, I think, the lower classifications. They're talking about he's gone. So it may be the case. I'm excited to have him in the program. They were on him early. They saw something about him. And when you get 60 touchdowns in a season, rushed for over 3,000 yards, like you said, they know you're going to get the football and they still can't stop you. That's pretty damn dominant in my mind.
His legs are so strong. He literally just carried a guy on his back. The guy spun him around. The guy fell off, and he ran for another 10 yards.
Yeah.
He just stiff armed a guy into the ground.
We have friends on here that have have asked him to come on our show. We didn't want to bother him during the season. There's a good chance that Jonathan Brooks will probably be on our show by the end of the weekend. We'll have that for you if he comes on. But didn't want to interrupt his playoff drive and leading the Hallettsville team to a state championship appearance.
I probably shouldn't be watching this game right now. Let's move on away from Jonathan Brooks at this particular point. Let's talk about Juan Davis. 6'4", 217 out of Fort Worth, Texas. Have him as an athlete, and I'm not sure if they're going to play him defensive line or if it's they're bringing him as an athlete as far as tight end goes. But I think a lot of people were thinking tight end, but with athletes like Juan Davis, man, he could probably play either side of the ball.
Again, 6'4", 217. Mm-hmm. I think of a body type like DeMarvin Overshown on defense. Like the coach said yesterday, you can move guys that are undersized to a next level. Like corners, you can move to safety. Safeties, you can move linebacker. Linebackers, you can move to the front four. Just a kid who's played everywhere. Quarterback, linebacker, tight end, safety. He's their all everything, man. They snap the ball similar to what you're talking about with Jonathan Brooks. Like he's going to be that Wildcat quarterback who's going to get the ball because he's better than every other athlete in the football field from Everman, Texas, which is just outside of Fort Worth. But yeah, still a dynamic athlete.
Hey, from that perspective, said Loving Clint's play-by-play. I appreciate that, FP, man. Thank you. I got to keep my eyes off this real quick so I can pay attention to what I'm doing here because I'll probably get caught up in this game. Next on the list is Gunnar Helm, Cherry Creek, Englewood, Colorado, 6'5", 225-pound tight end. John Elway told his dad he needed to play tight end. He was a wide receiver.
Athletic.
He knew he needed to grow. He was going to grow into that body.
Yeah, Jared Wiley, 6'7", 225, 230. This kid's 6'5", 225. Again, Jared Wiley was a converted quarterback into tight end, moved back and forth. Again, you got another athletic kid who moved from, like you said, the outside on John Elway's recommendation to the inside, but still has wide receiver skills with a bigger body. What you're going to look for is with the coach, whoever it is, appreciate the tight end position and the athletes that he has there. And give them the ball. Because I think this is the last year where you don't have and I'm not talking trash about Cade Brewer, you don't have a tight end who's gonna not gonna covet the football, or you don't need to get the football to who's not gonna make plays. Because you saw Jared Wiley do that this year. You saw Malcolm Epps do that this year. You saw Braden Liebrock probably has the potential to be more of a receiving tight end. You're gonna have to get these guys in that big slot position that we talked about early on in this podcast and utilize their skills. And as Johnny Munoz would say, let your weapons be weapons. Put them in a position where they can make plays.
Next, Byron Sorrell out of Holy Cross, New Orleans, Louisiana, 6'3", 250 pounds, strong side defensive end. He was a signing day commit and sign yesterday from the great state of, there we go, Louisiana, man. Anytime you can get a kid out of Louisiana, and it had an opportunity to see who was out there recruiting him. But anytime you get a kid out of Louisiana, man, get him to state of Texas, it's always a good deal, man, because those guys come in and play really hard.
He's a decommit from Northwestern. He's originally in Northwestern, so he's a really smart kid, really smart kid. Interior defensive lineman. Again, on the 6'3", 250. So you're going to see him probably playing that, like you said, that strong side defensive end. But with 6'3", you can put a little package on him, put a little weight on him, and move him interior as you need. But yeah, if I would tell you I had studied film on him at this point, I have not. But we owe you that. We'll take a look at this kid because he is a commitment to the University of Texas, and that's what we've done for every single one before him. Kind of looked at their film and had an idea of what they were. So yeah, more to follow on Byron Sorrell, Holy Cross out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Like Clint said, even in a down year, LSU's recruiting at number 5 in the country. Like they got kids leaving that program exponentially, and they're still bringing in a top 5 recruiting class. That may be SEC pool. I don't know. But yeah, anytime you can, and Casey Cain's another kid on this list out of Louisiana that we able to grab as well. So.
All right, next on the list, man, Charles Wright from right down the street. He's going to walk across the street to campus here shortly. He's an early enrollee. We had Charles Wright on the show. Really good kid, man. Doesn't love football, just football, man. Loves the lacrosse. And any time he had an opportunity to not, when he wasn't playing football, he played lacrosse and he was doing his best to try to work on
track.
track and speed and all those things, because he knew that was probably
cardio.
One of the things that he needed to work on the most was really his speed of the game, so that he can really turn himself into a dual threat quarterback. 6'1", 194. There's people out there saying, hey, he has the same build as Colt Pistolas McCoy at a gym dad, but he's Charles Wright. He's Charles Wright, and he loves the Longhorns, man, and he's going to come in, and he said he's not going to come in to carry somebody else's backpack or suitcase, man. He's going to come in day one. He's going to try to earn that position, man, and that's what you want. We'll talk about that a little later into this really quarterback competition we think we may have going on here shortly, man, into winter conditions into the spring. Your thoughts on Charles, man?
On CW, on CW, like I went back and watched our two podcasts that we had, two interviews, or our interview that we had with him and the commitment corner as well. Again, the film that we were looking at and talking about during this commitment corner was his junior film. This kid will get the ball out of his hands. He has a gun, dude. Like, there's no throw that he can't make at this point in his career. It'll be honing in on because Austin High in the film that I saw allowed him to have so much time. And again, he has a quick release. Like once he feels it, he lets it go, which I appreciate. He won't take sacks. He will not have busted plays that cost you yardage if he can help it. And just a phenomenal athlete, like you said, a phenomenal kid, smart kid who wants to be there, driven, has goals. Again, when he met with us this week, Austin High hadn't made it to the playoffs for years and years and years, as I remember he telling us, and that he was telling us, and they made a playoff appearance. Like the team goals that he had for his team, they were able to reach. Just a phenomenal kid, and I expect the world out of him.
Again, if y'all haven't watched that video with us and Charles Wright, you can. It's in our. I think we've got it broken down into different.
Playlists. They can go to Commitment Corner / player interview.
Player interview playlist. Yeah. Next, Cain, man, 6'2", 175 pounds, out of Warren, Eastern New Orleans, another Louisiana guy, wide receiver. He says he's 6'2", looks like he plays at about 6'4", 6'5". He's able to go up and really compete for every ball that's in the air. Really, what we haven't seen from what really the wide receivers outside of what Troy O'Meary was doing in the spring, we really haven't seen that a lot. Eagles is a big guy, but it didn't seem like he is the athletic ability to be able to get those arms up and go up there, box out, and get those. Box out. Is something we've been missing, and I think that's what I see from Cain, man. When I look at his video, your thoughts on Casey, man?
No, 100%. You're on it. Like a big body receiver who utilizes his body to make plays. Not a burner, but again, if we're going to play 50-50, he's a guy that I know can, like you said, box out a guy, use his body to make plays, and he's 175. So we're going to package him probably another 15 pounds, 20 pounds, get him up to 195, 200, and let him go play big boy ball against these cornerbacks that are really undersized in the Big 12. Most notably Oklahoma. When you look at their depth chart of corners and safeties and who they're working with, we didn't use that to our advantage this year, but going forward, hopefully we can.
Next on the list, Max Merril, straight Jesuit, Houston, Texas. He was a late offer, selected Texas. 6'4", 273-pound offensive tackle. At 6'4", I don't know if you're going to play offensive tackle at the collegiate level. Got to have a little bit more length on you. I'm not sure how long his arms are, but at 6'4", he's probably going to play in the interior somewhere. My thoughts. But I think he is really that makeup of what you've seen with really a Sam Cosmi, a Connor Williams, these guys where they are uber athletic, can move really well, can bend really well, probably plays another sport, and they bring them in and they turn them in from a low 3-star to a person that's getting drafted into the NFL, and I think that's what they see in Max Merril.
Yeah. So the frame is there, 6'4", 273. It's going to be relying on him. Get in there, weight room, strength, work with the strength and conditioning coach. Again, like you said, I think he could maybe play outside, but probably you're starting him out interior, center guard. both sides, asking him to pack on probably another 25 to 35 pounds, get that 305, 310 area, and just buy into the program, eat, get strength, get stronger. And then, he's a road grader. Like I saw him in many run blocking situations, not too much pass. So I know what he can do in the run blocking game. So put him in the interior, allow him to run over people, continue to add strength to him. Like you said, he may develop into to what is now a 3-star into a 4-star, 5-star capability by the time he leaves University of Texas.
Yeah. Next, Isaac Pearson, man, Pro Creeks, Australia. He is actually the first interview that we've ever done. I was actually sitting in Mexico in a hotel in Cabo San Lucas. Jeremy was at home and he was in Australia. So we were all over the place for that interview. Great. I'd call him a kid, but he's a young man at this particular point, older guy, has done some college, was working in an actual coal mine down in the coal mine in Australia. Found out that one of the punters for the Pittsburgh Steelers was from Australia, from Madden, and figured out, did some Wikipedia and tried to figure out how that happened. He found Pro Kick Australia and he worked his tail off to learn how to punt, footballs, and sent his tape out to multiple schools. And University of Texas is one of the ones that he grabbed their attention. And, some of the quotes that he gives us in his actual video, there's nothing better than playing football than having Texas really for the University of Texas or whatever he said, man. It was actually pretty cool. So if you have an opportunity to go look at that if you haven't seen that Isaac Pearson video, go check that one out. I mean, he's really good kid. Can't say much about
but you've had Ryan Dixon, who was Australian, out of Pro Kick, who was a bowl game MVP.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Brian Bachesky, who had his best year this year for the University of Texas until he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the guys coming out of there have proven themselves to be great assets to this football team. And special teams matters. Like I said, Ryan or Dixon pretty much won a game by himself by planting dudes inside the 10-yard line when necessary. So it matters. And happy to have the kid. Like you said, a phenomenal kid, not really a kid, a grown-up dude who worked in the coal mine, like you said, as a mechanic, who was a great interview, fantastic guy. And guess what? He's going to be in Austin within the next 30 days, which he's excited to do. I know he told us that way back when. So we probably have to hit him up for some Cisco's Mexican food on Charles Wright's recommendation.
Yep, that is true. That's what he did say. Next, Ibrahim, cornerback, Kimball, out of Kimball, Dallas Kimball, one of the Dallas ISD schools there in the Dallas area. Pretty familiar with that area. Unfortunately, had a incident this past weekend. I really won't speculate into what the situation is or what the charges are or whatever the case may be. I watched a video, and if you haven't seen it, Nick Saban talking about chances. And he was talking about, I think, Musa Muhammad, is that who it was? Muhammad out of Michigan State, that played at Michigan State, had a significant emotional event in his life. Nick Saban gave him an opportunity, and then went on to play 15 years in the NFL. And then his oldest of 6 kids is currently attending Princeton. He said, what if I would have gave up on that kid when he obviously made the mistake he did? And I truly believe that, it's either you put them back on the streets or you let them go to the University of Texas and learn from the situation they put themselves in. And you've seen that multiple times with the staff that we currently have there with Reese Laytow and Joshua Moore. So hopefully everything works out for Ismail Ibrahim, 6'1", 175-pound cornerback. Again, length with those cornerbacks, physical guy, likes to grab a lot. When tackling, probably work on Chris Ashworth on his tackling form when he gets to the 40 acres. But I definitely wish this kid well, man. Definitely.
No, you covered it. Yeah, you covered it. Like I talked about his film during his command corner, but lengthy cover corner. Again, get him out in space. He likes to rip you down by your jersey. He's not a guy that's gonna lead with his head or his shoulder to take you down. He's gonna watch you run by or grab you. And sling you down. We don't know anything about the current legal stuff that he's going through. like Clint said, I know me and him have had second chances in our lives and appreciate those that have given those to us. So to say that he doesn't deserve a second chance, but again, we don't know the situation that he was in last weekend. So, and who he might have impacted on that end. So never to discount what he may have done. But we pray for him and his family that he has an opportunity to continue his life, continue his football career at University of Texas or whatever path that may lead.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And on to obviously we got a transfer commit yesterday who flipped from North Carolina State, from McNeese State in Darien Dunn. From what I've read, man, he's on the really the NFL draft. They're looking at him, man. Some of these scouts, man, are really looking at this guy, man. Is maybe being a draftable cornerback, man. It's competition. It's competition, man. You got a kid that's coming in to graduate transfer with really already deep secondary. And I think what they're doing at this particular point is creating that competition that we want. Jameson, I believe, to come back. If I'm not mistaken, Green's decided to. We'll see what Darien Dunn can bring, but I'm pretty sure he didn't graduate transfer just to come here and sit on the sidelines.
Right. And like we were talking about with Jonathan Brooks a little bit earlier, stepping up in competition. So we don't know what Jonathan Brooks would be at the 5A, 6A level at Texas. I'm sure scouts are saying to Darien Dunn, or Darien Dunn may think this himself or his advisors, hey, let me leave McNeese State and go to a Power 5 conference and compete against wide receivers from Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and get my draft stock where it needs to be. In this year where it's unprecedented, people opting out, and that's probably where we're going to go next.
Next segue really is opting out, man. Really real quick, I know that one of the things that was on video, I guess, with Darien Dunn was how he did against Tylan Wallace. I guess he had some a game they played. I guess Oklahoma State had played Tylan Wallace, or Oklahoma State at a particular point, and they were talking about how he covered Tylan Wallace throughout that game, man. Is what really did it for a lot of people. All right, man. Yeah. Brooks is going crazy on Jim Ned. Jim Ned is currently on the 5-yard line. They just called timeout, first to go, second quarter, minute 8 seconds left. Hallisville 21, Jim Ned 0. All right.
I need a like for Michael Sproul's comment. What? Question mark. The Lockabees weren't choir boys? Absolutely not, dude. Absolutely not. We need a like for that because that's phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely not. We were not choir boys. We were. We'll just leave it at there. We were not.
Yeah, kind of just to finish out this recruiting thing before we move on. The class may be sitting at 17, but these guys that we're getting in are multi-sport athletes. Can play both sides or play, probably majority of them played both sides on their teams. Where they're, as far as their football teams go. Really excited about this class. I know 17 hurts, Longhorn fans. It's not very often you have, a class that's above 15 unless it's a transition class.
Right.
But, with everything that's gone on with the rumors and so on and so forth, to be able to keep the guys that you did have minus a few deep commitments, I think says a lot about where these kids actually want to be at versus, trying to just go off somewhere else based on what's not going on with the program. So kind of change it up, man. Talking about opt-outs and depth chart. So currently we've had Joseph Asai, Sam Cosme, Taquan Graham, Caden Stearns, Chris Brown have opted out. Is that it? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys looking at it from what we've heard of Brennan Eagles. But yeah, to this current point, those are the guys that have opted out.
So how does that impact the depth chart going forward, man? If Tom said something the other day on a press conference, and we'll get into this in a few minutes, and I don't know if he accidentally said it or whatever the case may be, but he said we're going to miss Sam Cosme. We're going to miss Joseph Asai. We're also going to miss Sam Ellinger. And I don't know if that was an accident. They've already had that conversation or where that's going to go. And we'll get into that really in the next topic. So kind of just pushing the quarterback piece aside and kind of going down this depth chart of what it looks like for the bowl game, really bowl game moving into probably winter. Kind of want to just leave the quarterbacks out there because that's one of the things we're going to talk about next. And we're really unsure of what's going to happen with that. So currently running back looks like Roschon Johnson, obviously Bijan Robinson. Now you got a letter of intent signed by Jonathan Brooks at this particular point. They called him Jonathan Gray. I almost said Jonathan Gray myself. And again, he's trying to break Jonathan Gray's touchdown record.
Type year. Yep.
Yeah. So he's trying to break Jonathan Gray's touchdown record. And then you still have that the transfer from what was it, North Dakota State or South Dakota State that's still there.
Yep. Gabe Watson and you have your opt out in Daniel Young.
Yep. And you still might have an opportunity at LJ Johnson. So looking at that right now, so probably going into the bowl game, you're probably looking at Bijan Robinson probably starting like he's started the last couple of games, and then followed by probably Roschon Johnson, and trying to figure out what's going on with Keontae Ingram at this particular point. Yeah, I think he's decided to opt out too, right?
Yes. Well, from what we've heard, he's cleaned out his locker. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Without an official announcement. But in my mind, Bijan gets 20, Roschon gets 10, and then we do other things at the running back position. If we're just talking bowl game. But again, I think they got to have 30 carries between the two of them, with 20 going to Bijan and 10 going to Roschon at this point at the running back position.
Yeah, and getting down to this obviously wide receiver, you're talking about Brennan Eagles. And again, there's some thoughts there of him coming out. I think the really shocking one was that Tart Black was thinking about coming out too. No graduate transfer. Brennan Schooler decided to come back because he really didn't have an opportunity to come in. I think that one. But my thoughts are maybe, and this is just my thoughts on all these guys opting out, is the pool is going to be much deeper next year because you don't have a bunch of people coming out.
21, man. Troy Amiri.
I get to Troy Amiri, but I'm talking about more people.
Troy Amiri and Brendan Schooler, Troy Amiri, Brendan Schooler, because I feel like that was Brendan Schooler's position automatic. I don't know if Brendan Eagles is leaving. Like, I don't mean to like discount him or Tart Black. But I just don't know what their draft grade is going to look like. And they both have years of eligibility. But what I am saying is what we heard coming out of summer camp was these guys were playing behind 21. And I don't know if 21 doesn't get hurt, how much playing time Brendan Eagles gets. Because you can move Josh Moore over there as well. There's opportunities all across the football field. What I'm saying is, you got 21 coming back. I hope Brendan Eagles stays because he made some phenomenal catches this year. But he's 6'4", 229. He's a specimen. He's very, very fast for his size. He probably brings a lot to the NFL. But I did read on a site today that a scout looked at him, the speed, size, dynamic versus how many times he gets open and catches the football are kind of different. You know, like for what he is, should he be more productive? And if he wants to be more productive, he has to come back. But I don't know if he could be more productive if 21's in his way. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Right,
but on top of that, I think you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to opt out that probably aren't getting the draftable grades that they would, because with the free eligibility next year, you're going to double up on the people that are going to be eligible to go to the NFL. So your chances of becoming an undrafted free agent, the competition is going to be much more next year if people will decide to come back, you know, and take that extra year eligibility versus, you know, so it feels like people aren't opting out as much this year. Let me go ahead and put my name in the hat and see where I land. I think that may be.
It could be a numbers game. Yeah, it definitely could be a numbers game versus production versus where I sit on the depth chart next year. Yeah. I didn't look at it from that aspect, but that makes sense to me that if you got to judge your position and figure out, hey, I'm better than the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th best receiver coming out in the class. Where do they generally land? Who needs receivers? Like, that's your agent's job. But in my mind, you can't really employ dudes like that unless you're decided to jump into the process. But maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah. And again, in Sean Allen's here, and I was kind of just looking at things here. Sam was in Eagles' way. Again, if you don't have a prototypical quarterback that can get the ball to you, that's definitely going to do a number on your wide receivers. Absolutely. Won't disagree with that.
We agree.
Ever.
We agree.
Okay, H wide receiver, man, you're talking about Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington, Brendan Schooler. You're talking about, hey, if those two guys leave, you're talking about Brendan Schooler going and playing that X position with Troy Meary. And then obviously you got Kai Money, obviously received a scholarship. He's a scholarship player next year, man. Can't call him walk on. He's a scholarship player next year.
Good.
Z wide receiver, Joshua Moore, Avonte Woodard. Avonte Woodard, man, we haven't seen much from him this year at all. I don't think.
Casey Cain.
Yeah, Casey Cain. Casey Cain.
No doubt Casey Cain's a Z.
Yeah, Casey Cain. And then you're looking at tight ends, man. What does Kay Brewer do? I've seen that some people, if you read one of the sites that we read, they were talking about Jeff Swain and they were talking about Kay Brewer. Both of them like to block. Can catch the ball if they need to from that H position. But more blocking tight ends, and that's where they they looked at Kay Brewer really as a Jeff Swain coming out, or if he went into the NFL.
Yeah, right. He's serviceable in both catching and blocking. Definitely, out of this core group, out of these four guys, the most developed blocker is definitely him because he's got 4 years, develop his body and play the University of Texas. But guys like Jared Wiley are 3 inches taller and 5 pounds heavier. They could definitely develop into a better tight end than Kay Brewer. And as far as this past year's production, you had to look at the production across the tight ends and say that Jared Wiley and Malcolm Epps probably outplayed Kay Brewer for the most part. We were asking why are these guys not getting opportunities? But that doesn't say that he at 6'4", 250, with the blocking credentials that he has and the pro systems that he may be able to find himself in, that he's not a good college prospect. So that's up to Kay Brewer, whether he wants to come back or not.
Yeah. We're not going to get into much of the coaching talk this tonight. Man, we do that enough. More to follow on that really probably over the next couple of weeks. We want to kind of just let's talk really who's on the team, who we assigned to the team, talk about players that are opting out, deciding to go to the NFL, and what you're not losing on this team, because you're not losing a lot. If you think about it, you're not.
Right.
And I think that's a good place to be. You will have, experience. I think where you don't have experience, you may be more talented in some places. Where you're losing that experience. And I think that's a good place to be, man, for this Texas team going forward, man. Not just, and when we're talking about the bowl game, talk about going into 2021 is because of the opt-out, you're going to see a lot of younger guys get an opportunity to play, just like you did against Kansas State. Jaron Thompson, man, the guys that have an opportunity to come out there and play, we'll see what they can do in a bowl game, which leads into really the winter of 2021 into the spring of 2021, create that competition that we want to see as Texas fans, that competition, not, hey, I'm just going to give you the starting position because you've been here for 4 years. I'm not going to give you the starting position because you've been here for 3 years. And the guy that's just came in may be more talented, but I'm not going to let him play because you've been here for multiple years.
What you saw manifest itself in the offensive line, the next position we're probably going to talk about.
Yeah.
And Andre Carriage and Jake Majors, who were kids that kind of sat on the bench all year. And again, I thank Derek Kerstetter for his versatility, that we only had to make one change in the Kansas State game. Unfortunately, got hurt later on in that football game. But got some good kids coming back. So you want to talk about the front?
Yeah, I think the biggest unknown right now is Denzel Okafor going to come back or not? Because he's really the only person senior wise probably that's going to come out and decide if they're going to come back or not. I think that's really the only question on this line, because you're talking about individuals, left tackle Christian Jones, Andre Clark, who we just talked about, played in that Kansas State game. How many? You said 25? 25?
26.
26 plays. 26
Snaps,
plays. No pressures.
Yeah.
Reese Moore.
And I think it matters. I think currently on the depth chart, they have Christian Jones playing left tackle, and that's probably for experience. But if Denzel Okafor comes back and you keep that right side intact with Denzel Okafor and Christian Jones, which you had for the first 9 games of this year, then you probably leave Carrick and unless Kerstetter comes back and he moves outside. If Kerstetter comes back and he moves outside to right tackle, then of course you leave Jones inside or outside at left tackle and in a position battle with Clark. Like, may the best man win. Keep Majors inside, and then try to figure out your guard combination. And Junior Aguilar had a great year this year. Interior is left guard, and then try to figure out who that right guard may be. You might ask Kerstetter to slide inside. Ask Clark and Jones to play out to play tackles. Kerstetter and Aguilar become your guards, and then Jake Majors becomes your center. If you could possibly develop it that way, I think you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
But then you got Tyler Johnson, kids who Reese Moore that were highly touted coming into this program. That
I think what needs to happen with the offensive line is what happens with your skill players, and I think you need to play to the strengths of your offensive line.
Yes,
you really do, and I think I think we've had a terrible time. I think we haven't done that, and I don't think the coaching staff has done that. It took you so long to get away from really inside zone to go to run an outside zone play when you know your guys are not inside zone run blockers.
Right.
It just they have to get to a point, and you hope that the offensive coordinator and we'll see what happens with obviously the offensive line coach moving forward. I know what everybody else thinks on here about the offensive line coach. I'm reading the comments here. I just think that they have to play to the strengths of the offensive line. That's it. If your offensive line can't hold up for 3 to 4 seconds, you need a guy, Casey Thompson or Hudson Card or whoever the quarterback is going to be, to have a 3-step drop, get the ball out of your hands as fast as you can to those playmakers on the outside. And at the same time, if Bijan can't do the inside zone, dude, and he's really good at running the outside zone or sweeps, get the ball in his hand, make that first person miss, run over the second guy, spin away from the next guy, stiff arm the next guy, and let him get down the sideline. And I think that's where they need to look for it, because right now the offensive line has to be they're going to have to be at their best, because one, you're gonna have obviously a guy that's been in the program for really 4 years at this particular point, right? And then you're gonna have a true freshman. If Sam doesn't come back, you're gonna have a redshirt freshman, right? And then you're going to have a true freshman. But you have probably the most talented backfield that you've had in a long time. So the offensive line, it's absolutely important every year, but it's almost the most important thing this year, because if they're smart, they're going to run the ball through number 5 in the backfield. He is going to be the one that he's going to be your horse next year.
So I talked about my dream front 5, and again we talked about Kerstetter not playing center because that's not his natural position.
Absolutely not.
And we felt like he should have played outside of that. But I really feel like, do you feel like Hayden Connor could walk in and take a position on this offensive line at this point? I talked about my guys, Jake Majors, Kerstetter, Amgalau, and then Jones and Karich is probably my 5. Haven't seen them play together, but as far as film that I've watched and games that I've watched, I don't need Okafor coming back. I don't. I think it's another situation where you're stunting growth behind you if you bring him back and allow him to play. Not talking trash about the kid, but just what we've seen. But do you think Hayden can walk in and take a position on the interior line day one? I mean, he has the size for it. Definitely has the size for it.
Again, it comes back to that competitive edge, man. It's like, the problem is that they got too comfortable in their own skin.
Yep.
On both sides, the coaching side and the player side. Because if your coaches allow you to not be competitive because you know that you're not going to have an opportunity to start, because that's the way that your coaching does things each and every week, you're going to get comfortable in your own skin and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go over here and sit on the sideline because I know I'm not going to play. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? It's a competition each and every week, man. And I'm going to tell you what, you sit in the first half, Denzel Okafor, if you come out here and you play the way you did, you're going to sit the second half. I promise you this, he's going to understand that it's not given anymore. You're going to have to earn each rep that you get. And that's what we have not seen. And then somebody talking about here, they were talking about Bijan being the horse. I get it, because they're talking about the 8 to 9 to carries. You're hoping at this juncture next year that Bijan Robinson is getting somewhere between 15 and 20 carries a game. 20 carries it is probably where he needs to get
20 in the bowl game.
Yeah,
he needs to start getting 20 carries in the bowl game, and not come off that number.
Yeah. So,
and then again, if you're under that number, then you're selling your team short. If you watch the same game that I watched against Kansas State and understand this kid's potential, like if you don't let him touch the ball 20 times a game, you're going to be 7-3 next year. And you're going to ask yourself why. And I'm going to tell you again, because you didn't let your weapons be weapons. You chose to be stingy and rotate players out when you didn't need to rotate players out when you got your best dudes on the football field.
Proven ground productions. Answer your question here. Hayden Connor will be our nastiest lineman next year. May not start from the beginning, but just wait. And that's the problem, is that they get stuck in this mode of let's continue to play the same guys. And even if a guy steps up in practice, let's not hurt anybody's feelings and you go sit on the sideline because you're and replace you with this. That's what we've been rolling through. Because I promise you this, Jake Majors didn't just come out in that first game and play the way he did. I promise you he's been playing like that practice after practice after practice.
Great, right? It'd be that great.
Yeah.
He's going against T. Sweat. He's going against Keandre Coburn. He's going against Collins. Like he's having matchups against that interior defensive line of Texas. Let me not get started on the Big 12. We'll save that. Big 12 postseason awards today was a joke in my mind. But again, you have to compete. Like if this doesn't teach you anything, you have to compete for championships to allow your players to find themselves on those lists. I don't think there's any, coincidence that Iowa State and Oklahoma were all over those lists and Texas wouldn't. But
everybody's excited about. I got everybody excited about Bijan Robinson up here. We'll be having the same conversation next year when he's got the ball 8 times. We'll have the same conversation next year when he has the ball 8 times, and we may or may not have this conversation. And who knows? Roshan Johnson is a hell of a running back himself. You want to have 2 good running backs on the team. Look what you got out here, freshman in Jonathan Brooks.
Oh, Isaiah Hookfin, another name we haven't mentioned.
Yep.
Who showed you in preseason practice he can dominate. Absolutely, move him interior. There's this team, although all the opt-outs, all the graduations for 2020 has optimism for 2021. And again, that's why we talk crazy, because we think the coaching staff has kind of cost the current players a chance to play in the Big 12 championship. But again, they have just as competent of a group coming back. You're giving crazy face, and I'm going to answer 2 things real quick. Maybe you're on it. 8 Orange, Bijan Robinson's not going anywhere. Number 1, and yes, Bryce Foster is an Aggie. Just so you know.
That's how Robinson is. He going anywhere? He is loving Texas. He's not going anywhere, man, at all.
He told you the reason why he came to Texas was to put Texas back on the map. Texas ain't on the map yet, so Bijan Robinson's not going anywhere.
All right, let's finish up this. Let's finish this up here. Defensive end, talk about more. Obviously, Moro Jomo, Jacoby Jones, Vernon Broughton at that strong defensive end it looks like. And then if you're looking at the jack position, which really makes me nervous next year, looking at Reese Laytow at Jeb Bush, man. And this is where our guy, man, Tavian Sanders has an opportunity to come in and maybe have an opportunity to play next year. Because you don't have Jordan a lot Times. Of you don't have a lot of depth there, man.
Nope.
What I can see is they probably take Jacoby Jones and flip him.
You got 2 5-stars though. You got Prince Storba, you got Jaden Sanders, and then you got our kid JT out of Port Arthur.
Yep. So
and we've shown if there's a position group where you could start early on this football team with the emergence of Alfred Collins, the emergence of T. Sweat as a freshman, the emergence of Coburn as a freshman. If we would have figured out 46 is where he should have played, he played a lot as a freshman. If we've shown there was a position group that gets out on the field earlier than most, it's defensive line, and I trust Oscar Giles. He's shown, through the last 20 years of being a coach, on and off the sidelines of the University of Texas, he can develop players, picks the right play. Number 1, he picks the right players. Number 2, he can develop and get on the field really early. So
same thing with Hagen, man. Same thing with Hagen with those defensive ends, man. I think he's defensive ends, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Giles is inside. inside defensive line, I think.
Right.
And I think that's probably one of the best decisions they made really on the defensive side of the ball, man, is to have coaches. And it's because Chris Ash is a defensive backs coach, but I think that's really good that they brought 2 defensive line coaches in here, and Hagen and keeping Giles, man, because Giles has earned his money, man, not just in recruiting, but being able to develop these football players.
Right.
And they're underdeveloped, really.
Coleman Hutzler, right?
Yeah, Coleman Hutzler from a linebacker.
His freaking linebackers produced with 36 and 6, and now 46, and now he's got these athletic group that's coming in with Blackwell and with Harris and that group that's could be elite. They're the kind of linebackers you need for the Big 12.
Yep.
Definitely. So
yeah, definitely, man. Those guys they're working. They're working, which is good, man. Nose tackle, defensive tackle. And again, these guys are interchangeable. Really, they are. If you look at them, man. Alfred College, 6'5", 305. Daniel Carson, because Taquan Graham has obviously decided to opt out. He wants to, throw his name in the hat for the NFL there.
But Carson's gone too, brother. Remember Carson?
Oh, yeah, into the transfer portal. I forgot to highlight it here, man. So Alfred Collins, Keandre Coburn, Tavondre Sweat, Sawyer Gorham-Welch. We'll kind of see how they move this forward. Vernon Broughton, 6'4", 290, may be able to move inside to that.
Ajomo can move inside. I always thought Ajomo would be inside.
Yep.
So, yeah, you put another 20 pounds on Ajomo. I think he was interior lineman under the last defensive coordinator scheme. It's part of that 1 technique, 3 technique at that 3-man front. So definitely you spin him down. Leave 36 and 45 on the outside. Again, you got Byron Murphy coming in on this class. Again, we talked about the defensive lineman. Again, I don't think there's any secret why most of these recruits are from the defensive side of the ball.
Thank you, Noah Ford. Giles, defensive end. Hagen's is defensive
Tavian
tackle.
Sanders could probably – right. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then Lando's saying, I don't know about the development. Please, what development are we talking about here? And yeah, Bimage. I forgot about Bimage, man. Bimage opted out this year. He's not on our depth chart because of that. But he was going to be my breakout player of the year. Marquez Bimage was this year.
Definitely was.
So
the strongest dude on the team as a freshman.
Yep. I'm all about the Bimage, man.
What was your question?
So my question to because Lando, I don't know about the development part. I just was asking him about that development part. What is he talking about there? If he's talking about defensive line development, you got to think about it. Giles has had, and he probably should have had it again. He's had a couple of defensive players of the year, from the defensive line division. Yeah, so he is definitely doing what he needs to do. Moving on to middle linebacker here, Juwan Mitchell, Court Jocks.
Adele Adewey was an opt-out.
Yeah.
It's probably coming back.
Injury. Adewey's injury. Shoulder injury.
Yep, shoulder injury. Shoulder, Rashawn Johnson, thank you. Yeah,
Rashawn got him, and then he re-injured it in the game. But you're talking about these linebackers, and then quite a few linebackers behind him, man. That there were true freshmen this year that obviously seen some playing time against Kansas State because Juwan Mitchell obviously, got ejected. He likes to do that at least once, twice, 3 times a year. Got ejected from the
Hey, I love that kid though. He wanted to fight all of Oklahoma's football team in the locker room, so I'm good with him.
Yeah.
And guys talk about Willie Tyler, another guy, 55, junior college transfer that's not on our depth chart because again he opted out, but another kid who could play interior line. Big old kid, 6'7", I think, 355. Again with hook fin, there's opportunities out there.
I was looking at North Shore up there, 17-0. And then obviously at will linebacker, DeMarvin Overshone, David Gabinda, Jalen Ford. DeMarvin Overshone is going to make his money next year.
Good group, great group.
Seen somebody talking about DeMarvin Overshone talking about coming out. He plays that position next year. He gets bigger into that position, learns it a lot better. I promise you what, his value is going to rise really, really fast and really, really high in that position. And then obviously with the defensive backs, man, there's a lot of them. And you're talking about, strong safety, Tyler Owens, free safety, BJ Foster, Montrell Stale, Jaron Thompson, cornerback, Josh Thompson, Keaton Crawford, in the spur, Chris Adamore, Anthony Cook, and Xavier Alford. And then you bring a guy in like Darien Dunn, a transfer. It's the sky's the limit. They think and I get a little upset when I see things like this. Texas signed more ESPN 300 defensive backs since 2018 than any other team in the nation. And it's like Caden Stearns comes in his freshman year. He does what he needs to, and then kind of just goes away. And I think it had to do with a lot with the scheme that they were in with those 5 defensive backs, man, and 3 down linemen. I think when you have 3 down linemen, we're running that 3 down lineman defense. You don't have a big pass rush, and these guys are 3 second drops, man, and getting the ball out of hands. It does work. Bad work to your secondary. So I think moving to this 4-3 defense is going to give these defensive backs an opportunity to actually be defensive backs at this particular point.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Overshown finally spinning down. This season he proved he could do it. Next season I think he grows from it because, again, you got an offseason with the same defensive coordinator, same scheme. Jameson, Green, those guys who were in that recruiting class with him and Foster, these guys are all growing up together. The only guy that left is Caden Stearns out of that. Those 5 guys who are 5 stars and high 4 stars continue to come back. Josh Thompson, who's your glue guy, who's your Swiss Army knife, you can put anywhere to perform. And then you got studs like Tyler Owens, who you don't know what you're going to do with yet. You're going to drop him down. You got 28 who made plays in the last football game. And Jaron Thompson. You got kids like Jade Bear and Keaton Crawford, who are absolute studs. The secondary has unlimited, and then you're adding Jameer Johnson to that mix, JD Coffee to that mix. So the secondary continues to churn out kids who are high-level athletes. Again, you just like to see them in another system, in the same system for back-to-back years where they've been put in the best position to succeed. And I think that's next year for this year.
So Lando talked about the 3-4 defense as a defensive back. 3-4 defense as a defensive back shows if you can really cover. The problem is when you play in the Big 12 with the caliber of quarterbacks you play and the athletes you can put in space.
Pressure, bro.
You had to put pressure on the quarterback. You're not doing your I don't care. You can only cover for so long. You can only, and if you have all the time in the world to just throw the ball around with these guys like Hollywood Brown, from Kyler Murray to Spencer Rattler, they do you no favors at all. So I think a 4-man front, getting that pass rush, and really just changing
from the front
scheme
7
ups.
and not the safeties in the corners makes a hell of a lot of difference.
No, Daniels, why is your dog barking though? Does the wife spoil him? That's what he's talking about. No, Daniel's over there talking about the dog.
He's not gonna stop.
No.
Yeah, he gets spoiled. He's our only child.
Yeah. S Pal, man. I appreciate it, man. $10. Doesn't have a question or anything, man. He said thank you. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. We thank you, man. We appreciate you, man, for the $10 and because we know how hard it is to earn that money these days, man. So to give Texas Football Talk $10, man, it means a lot to us, and we definitely appreciate you. We thank you for listening to us. Each and every week, man, with our thoughts on the program. And there's 51 people out here, man. There's only 29 likes. I know me and Jeremy kind of don't say that enough, but if you don't mind hitting that like button, we'd appreciate it. And we'll get on to really, let me finish out here. Spur position, Chris Adamore, Anthony Cook, Xavier Alford. Those guys are going to battle, just like they have, really this season. You see, Chris, you see Chris Adamore, believe it or not, he makes a mistake. And then all of a sudden you see Anthony Cook come in the game. Anthony Cook make a couple of plays. And then I think, and then Xavier Alford, the 100-yard landlord is what he calls himself, will definitely is bringing some competition to that room as well, man. So the sky's the limits for this defensive back, man.
So before you move on, we got another $5 super chat. With Sam Cosby leaving for the NFL, who steps up and fills that role at an elite level? I think he showed himself in the Kansas State game. I think Andre Carriage has a ability to be nasty in the run game. Like he got to the second and third level where it's pancaking dudes would get up and he would smash them down again. And in 26 snaps, he gave no quarterback pressures up. So in my mind, probably Andre Carriage at this point. Your thoughts on left tackle?
On left tackle, specifically left tackle, and I think it just says fills the role. Who steps up and fills? If Sam Collins leads for the NFL, which he is, who steps up and fills the role at an elite level? Yeah, it's Andre Carriage. He's the only left tackle I see at this particular point.
Yeah, if we're talking just O-line.
O-line, if I'm talking O-line, I think the biggest piece to the O-line next year is probably going to be Jake Majors. To me, it's Jake Majors. I think he's uber talented. That center position to be able to call the game, whatever thing. I think to me, the biggest position next year is going to be Jake Majors at that center position. So appreciate the question, man. Appreciate the $5, Dan. Thank you so much. Let me see here. We'll talk a couple of. Actually, we'll go through. I guess we'll go through the last thing, man. Topics, and then we'll kind of just scroll through and hit some of these questions, man.
Okay.
All right. Last thing of the night, man. Quarterback competition.
Right. Tom left the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, Tom left the cat out of the bag, man. Tom Herman said that Ehlinger will be missed next year, starting the conversation about a quarterback competition. Like I said, when we started the show, Texas hasn't been through a quarterback competition since Sam Ehlinger took the ball from Shane Buechele, and Shane Buechele decided he wanted to transfer to SMU. Big deal, man, because I think one of the things we've lacked as a program and as a team is just this sheer sense of competition. Yep. And it's because I'm just handing the ball to you, and because you're a great leader and you've been around here for a long time, I'm going to give the ball to you. You're going to line up under center and you're going to take the snaps, regardless if you may or may not be the most talented person in the room. And obviously right now with Quentin Jackson, unfortunately, me and Jeremy loved Quentin Jackson. He grew up right down the street from where we grew up in Duncanville, Texas. Part of me says hopefully, and I'm not sure if he's made a decision yet, but hopefully he goes back to Dallas, man, to SMU and takes quarterback of that SMU program. Obviously Samples is there. Reginald Samples is his coach at Duncanville, and Rashad Samples is there at SMU. And there's a lot of Duncanville players that are looking to go into SMU, and we love Dallas. And I think SMU coming up as a program at Dallas is a really good thing, man. So that's a group of 5 team that I really root for outside of the Texas Longhorns.
Same here. Yep.
But Casey Thompson been in the program for 3 years, be a 4th year next year. Part of that 2018 class, 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years. Hudson Card, elite 11 quarterback, true dual threat quarterback, elite with his legs and elite with his arm, man. Me and you've kind of penciled in Casey Thompson because he is the guy that's been there the longest. But I think having a true quarterback competition this year, if Sam is gone, it is going to help this program a lot. Your thoughts, man, on this situation right now?
Just easy. We haven't had an opportunity to see these guys play, and that's kind of what COVID stole from us. We didn't have enough non-conference. UTEP, we didn't get enough snaps for these kids because, again, we were walking out of a one non-conference game into a full conference schedule. So they got games taken away from them. They probably could have got playing time. They didn't get to compete in the spring. So sight unseen, there's not a whole lot of game reps for us to see as fans. Not a spring game to see for us to see as fans. So going into the quarterback competition that's going to be held in the fall, I've got to give my initial thoughts to Casey Thompson. But do I think he's that much ahead of Hudson Card? Absolutely not. Is it impossible for Hudson Card to be starting that first game, non-conference game in 2021? Absolutely not. Is it impossible for Charles Wright to walk in on campus 30 days from now, compete for that job in the spring? Because, again, none of these guys have had snaps, meaningful snaps in real football games outside of practice. So it's an open competition. Like you said, this needs to be a meritocracy at both at the quarterback position, but across the football field as a whole. Offensive linemen need to compete with offensive linemen in practice. Defensive linemen need to compete with defensive linemen in practice. Wide receiver, same thing. Running back, same thing. Like, you earned your snaps. And for the first time in a long time, that position, if Sam decides to leave, which we think he is, you're going to have that. And so may the best person win. And I don't know. Guys are saying JQJ is going to walk into the portal and walk back out. Folks are saying he might go to SMU and get beat out by Preston Stone. We have no idea at this point because, again, we haven't seen these guys play on a college football field, meaningful snaps when games matter, when it wasn't a 45-point blowout, essentially.
I look at it like this, man. This transfer portal is a transfer portal at this particular point. It's open. It's open season. It's open season. You put yourself in there. Somebody was saying that it'd almost be like having too many goods and not enough people to buy with the number of transfers in there, because you still have to hold steady on the number of scholarships you are allowed to have. So you got to take that chance. Do I want to go on the transfer portal? And does a couple of teams do they have slots for me? I think what my biggest concern with this quarterback thing is because, again, it's the transfer portal. If Hudson Card was to win that starting position, because I think if it went the other way, I don't think it would have as big a difference. If obviously if Casey Thompson was to win that job, I don't think Hudson Card sitting in for another year is going to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He learns, he grows, he does what he needs to. That's what quarterbacks do. Just look at Mac Davis at Alabama, you know, and Bryce Young behind him and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's the end all be all. What my thing is that Hudson Card wins that position. Casey Thompson goes in the transfer portal. Now you have two quarterbacks in the room, and Hudson Card is a redshirt freshman, and then you have a true freshman in Charles Wright. So do you go out there into the transfer portal and say, hey, we probably need to pull in some kind of transfer quarterback, you know, that's probably going to know he's going to come in and be part of a quarterback competition, or say, hey, you know what, I'm coming here to finish up in a master's degree at the University of Texas and sit on your sideline and hold a clipboard.
Yeah, they got it 100% correct in the comment section. Yeah, it's college free agency. It's exactly what it is. And your coach told you the other day after he introduced these guys that he had 9 spots. The only thing I worry about is your team going to be too old? Are you ever going to find yourself where you're signing so many grad transfers or transfers that you're going to have to sign a class of freshmen that's 40 years old or 40 players deep at some point because you got 35 seniors because these grad transfers, like, that's all roster management, which he told us that he really didn't study all year long, but he let you know the other day he had 9 positions available between grad transfers, regular transfers, and signees. So again, it's all roster management. We'll take our depth chart and the guys that you guys reminded us of about Willie Tyler, Isaiah Hookfin, and try to gather what we think probably their needs are. You guys got an idea: edge rusher, interior line, maybe another, probably, I want to say X receiver, or is he? Yeah, X receiver. If Black and Eagles both come out, and you're left with nothing but Omeir and have to do a position change. But at this point, those things need to be ironed out over the next couple of days to put yourself in the best position forward to recruit these guys going forward. I would say in the next couple of months. Really,
that's what it is, man. It's you have 9 positions to fill, and you're going to get the best player available.
That would be mine.
Best player available, like they, you know, they had the big board for NFL draft. Let me get the best player available, regardless if they're regardless of their graduate transfer, a regular transfer, or a high school graduate. Again, it's got its good things. You know, you can, if you missed out on somebody on the recruiting trail, you have an opportunity to grab somebody out in the portal at the portal. You know. Knowing that they're going to get immediate eligibility.
But Michael Spruill kind of is brilliant when he says that you got to recruit your own kids every day because you got the threat of the recruiting or the transfer portal. The same way you can catch a miss is the same way a guy decides he's not sitting on the bench for more than a year or a year and a half, and he says, "Hey, I'm jumping," and you don't fall for that. You know, in my mind, like I said, they bring a lot of money to the university. When we talk about name, image, likeness, we talked about this, that if they're really going to control their own destiny, they need to be able to control their own destiny. And we weren't talking about paying them at the time. That topic came up, but that this is what you're seeing, man. Is Brim McCoy signed with USC, left to go to Texas, and left to go to USC without playing a football game. He transferred twice without playing a football game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy.
And they
crazy,
are.
But
it's not just your
fun though.
Yeah. You got a lot of 5-stars, man. High 4-stars and 5-stars that are transferring from programs right now. Lots of them.
Yeah.
So you go out there and you just got to continue. And again, he said it right, man. You got to recruit your players you got in your program. You got to go out there and recruit the guys that you don't have in your program. To try
there's
to
only 22 dudes who can play at one given time, and there's 85 to 105 dudes in your program. Like, how do you do that on a continuous basis? Is probably the psychology of coaching. To let a dude know, or hey, keep competing in practice. Your time's going to come, and he trusts you and understands that's what's best for him. But yeah, you got to be your head's got to be on a swivel every single day with stuff like that, alongside of producing a game plan and looking at the latest techniques and this coach's film and that coach's film, and understand the players you're going against next Saturday. Yeah, phenomenal podcast, phenomenal fun. I've loved the script. I think we need to keep doing it like this because we kind of get on a tangent. Sometimes we don't. We've been going for an hour and 23 minutes.
23 minutes, yeah. We're about to get off here pretty soon, man. But we'll get back to the questions, comments, and all those things, man. Probably our next live. We really want to just have a scripted kind of program tonight so we could talk about the things that we really wanted to talk about and not go down a rabbit hole of what coaches are we going to fire, or the coaches coming back, who's going to be our next coach, and all those things. We got plenty of time, man. I can tell you that I am going to be a fan of 2 schools this week. Go Northwestern and go Cyclones. Those are my 2 teams this week.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So but Cyclones, man, in Northwestern, those are my 2 teams this week, and hopefully everything will work out for us well, and we can kind of move on and figure out where we are with our situation. So we appreciate y'all listening to us tonight. Hopefully y'all took something away from it. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. If you want to find us on Twitter, which we just hit our 1,000th, and Johnny Munoz, he sent us a congratulations earlier. We hit 1,000 people on Twitter tonight. Our 1,000th person on there happened to be Rod Babers. Rod Babers was number 1,000 follower on Twitter tonight, so which was pretty cool. Told him, hey, I appreciate the follow. So if you want to find us on Twitter, you can find us at TX Football Talk. If you want to find us on Facebook, you can find us at Texas Football Talk. If you want to find us on Instagram, you can find us at Texas Football Talk. Y'all have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully see you this weekend at some particular point.
Definitely see you this weekend.
So
definitely.
Yeah. So y'all have a good night, and we'll see you later. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em. I love the script. Hang on just a second. I'm about to piss my pants.